In the last show, which I just did a second ago, my stream here. The broadcast is frozen. Man, this is just. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but I'm having some trouble here with my camera. This is. Okay. Okay. So, um, welcome to Your Money with Apostle Dwayne. I've just been having some camera trouble, and it looks like I got it fixed. So hopefully, everything is coming through fine. Um, I just also had a problem with my on the last broadcast where my mic was muted for the first half of the show, and so all right. So now, okay. So welcome to Your Money with Apostle Dwayne. And today's episode is why Black Americans should not file bankruptcy. Now, I can tell you that in our community, credit and money is a very big problem. Okay. The lack thereof is a very big issue. And so, um, and I see that a lot of us have filed bankruptcy thinking it was going to make our situation better. Okay. Now, I want you to understand God cares about you and your money. He cares about making sure that you have enough money. He provides everything in the world from the sun, the rain, the moon, and the stars, the food. He provides more than enough, but by and large, we are suffering. Okay, and so one of the main things he wants you to know is how to manage your money, because everything in life, it comes down to it, really. I mean, then Proverbs, there's a proverb that says, in life, there's an abundance of problems, but money handles them all. Okay. So on today's episode of Your Money with Apostle Dwayne, it said why Black Americans should not file bankruptcy. I'm going to give you my top 10 reasons why you should not file bankruptcy. Okay. And hopefully, if you are considering that today's message is going to help you avoid making that mistake. All right. So before I get into that, I want to tell you about the book I've got coming out. God Wants You in Business for the Kingdom. This is a business book that God has given me that's not just a regular business book. There's all kinds of business books out there. This one specifically talks about how you can partner with God. God wants to partner with you to help you go into doing business. And I'm believing for millions of millionaires, millions of new millionaires in the Black Christian community. And this book is just one tool to help you get understanding, to go from people who don't have a lot of resources to how to multiply what you do have and how to take territory in your own life. Okay, so that being said, let's go into the top 10 reasons why, as Black Americans, you should not file bankruptcy. So beginning with number 10, it costs a lot of money. It's not just that it costs you a lot of money. If you think about it, a lot of the times the reason people are filing bankruptcy is because they have things on their credit. Okay. And on average, I think the cost is like $1,500, $2,000 that you have to pay at the minimum just to pay the attorney. And then you got all the court fees, and you got all this, process that you have to go through. You got to take time off. You got to go to court. I mean, it's a process, and time is so it costs you time and it costs you money. You could take that same money and negotiate to pay down or negotiate better terms and pay off a bunch of your debt that you got hanging over you on your credit, rather than take the quick route of thinking, oh, I'll file bankruptcy here, and then I can go and buy a car and all this other stuff. Okay. So the first thing, reason number 10 is it costs money. Okay. It costs a lot of money. Number 9, it adds to a bad reputation problem. Now, as Black people, we have a bad image in this country and around the world. We just, it's this manufacturing image that we have no worth, or that we're not smart and that we're poor. I mean, all those stereotypes. Well, if you add in bad credit and then bankruptcy on top of that, that is just, it's like deciding that you're going to run a marathon and then putting a bag over your head. Okay. So that's something you don't want to do. All right. Because it adds to the bad reputation problem. And a lot of times people think, well, I'll file bankruptcy and it'll get rid of my debt. That's what you're sold. It's sold to you that you're going to get rid of your debt, and it's basically going to wipe your slate clean. No, it doesn't wipe your slate clean. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So it's going to add to your bad reputation problem. Number 8, the number 8 reason why you shouldn't file bankruptcy. It really only helps the lawyers and the courts. The lawyers who are bankruptcy attorneys, they by and large, for us at least, they make a lot of money. They got all these clients coming in and filing bankruptcy and whatnot. And to them, it's just a form of income. It's like a surgeon. If you're not doing surgery, you're not getting paid. Okay. And so now, and I don't want to say that it's not good for anybody, that nobody should ever file bankruptcy, but I just want you to understand that if you already had bad credit before you filed bankruptcy, bankruptcy is not going to help you. If you already were broke before you filed bankruptcy, bankruptcy is not going to help you. Okay. Bankruptcy is designed to help some other people. So now, and I'm going to cover that in a second. So the number 7 reason you shouldn't file bankruptcy, it actually increases your debt. Well, first you have to pay the attorney, and then you got to pay the court. Sometimes people don't even finish bankruptcy because they don't have the money to finish paying for the process. And so here you may have alleviated paying, a creditor, but you still have to pay. There's still, you're still going to be out some money. So don't think that, oh, I'll just go file bankruptcy and I'm scot-free. And it doesn't work like that. Okay. The number 6 reason why you shouldn't file bankruptcy is bankruptcy was not actually designed for poor people. Bankruptcy was designed for the wealthy. That's why it was written into the law, so that the wealthy could, erase the slate and keep going. I used to be in the car business for over 20 years. And one of the things that I noticed is that I would have clients who had money that had filed bankruptcy. And within a couple of years, their credit score, sometimes within a year or a little over a year, their credit scores would be in the high 6s and up over 700, because it's a game. Credit is a game, and they know how to play it. And the system is designed for you to have levers and things that you can do if you have money. But if you don't have money, and you go to file bankruptcy, you think you're going to be helping yourself out, you're not going to help yourself out. You're not. And really it's not even necessary. Okay. So it's not designed for poor people. Is designed for the rich. And so, there's much better ways that you can use your money to help you with regard to your credit standing and stuff like that than filing bankruptcy. Okay. Let me tell you the number 5 reason. The number 5 reason is something that everyone that goes into bankruptcy thinking about. And once you get over that thought, then you just it makes the whole process easier. Oh, it's going to be on your credit for 10 years. It's going to last on your credit for 10 years that you have had a bankruptcy. Now, some people have filed bankruptcy multiple times. Okay. And that's someone who doesn't even understand, how to utilize and make money. But you can't afford 10 years for that to be on your credit, especially if you don't have the knowledge and the wherewithal to build credit after you filed. So then what happens is you have bad credit going into bankruptcy, you file bankruptcy, and then now you got and then you and your money and whatever might have been jacked before you went into bankruptcy, which is why your credit was jacked. And so now you got 10 years of this thing hanging over you, in addition to the rest of your situation not changing, which brings me to the number 4, or I'm sorry, the number 4 reason why you shouldn't file bankruptcy. Okay. In certain situations, it actually lasts a lifetime. If you decide you want to go into business and you're looking at getting some investment money, a lot of times the first thing they'll ask you is, have you ever filed bankruptcy? And if you answer that question, if you lie, let's say because it's not on your credit report, and then they go and find it, because they can find it still, it may not be on your credit report, but it can stop you from having a multi-million-dollar business deal go down. Especially if you lie and say you didn't have one because it's not shown on your report anymore. So in certain situations, it lasts a lifetime. Okay. And that's very important. So that's the number 4 reason why you shouldn't file bankruptcy. The number 3 reason I alluded to a couple minutes ago is that it doesn't actually solve the problem. Okay. It doesn't solve the problem. All it did was maybe it may have gotten you free of some debt. It might have helped you restructure a loan. It might have helped you hold on to your house a little bit longer or something like that. But it's not going to add money to your bank account. And it's not going to give you the ability to leap out of a situation. If anything, um, the main issue that you probably have is that you're not making enough money. And if you're not making enough money, you're eventually going to have trouble anyway. And the main thing that people don't understand a lot of times in thinking about this is, if you're not making enough money, you can't afford to buy anything cash. You got to finance, which financing is fine. I mean, the scripture says the borrower is slave to the lender, but you have to understand that a lot of times people who are buying everything cash, everything you got is old and about to break. Whereas someone goes and let's say they have good credit and they go buy that $50,000 car or lease it, and they're only paying $500 a month. And for you to get that same car, you got to come out of your pocket with 50 grand. You know how long it takes to save that up to get that thing brand new? And if you do get it, you're getting it, a decade old with problems, and it's going to, start breaking down and whatnot, and so you just have to understand that, there's a trade-off. There's always going to be a trade-off. You got the new one, you're making a low payment and you're managing your life, or you spent everything you got to get it and you got no money left. So there's certain situations borrowing does actually help you, because it allows you to pay a smaller amount and still manage the rest of your life. Okay. But once you file bankruptcy, then you get this period after bankruptcy's discharged where you can start getting loans and stuff like that. So it can actually help you in that regard. But the one thing it's not going to do is solve your money problem. It's not going to put more money in your bank, which is probably why you're having the credit problem to go file bankruptcy in the first place. You see, that's a completely different problem. That's like saying, hey, doc, I got this headache. And he says, okay, let me cut off your foot. I mean, the foot and the head, they're connected to the same body, but the issue is not the same. Okay. And so, so the issue that we really need to solve is the money problem. Okay. So now my number 2 reason that that you shouldn't file bankruptcy is that you can actually, in a lot of cases, fix your credit in less than 6 months. 6 months versus 10 years. You've got credit repair. You've got ways of building credit. There's numerous ways of building credit. And that's the thing that a lot of us don't know, is how to build credit. Okay. And so when I come back or after I go through the number 1 reason, then I'm going to talk to you about how to build credit. Okay. The number 1 reason that you shouldn't file bankruptcy is because it doesn't boost your credit score. That's what it's for. It's designed to help you get out of debt, and or sold to you that you can get your credit in order and all that other stuff. It doesn't do any of that. You can fix your credit without filing bankruptcy. So if that's the case, then really the issue is, what tactics can I use to get my credit right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you some principles right now that I'm going to relate some natural things to give you some things that are gonna make sense. First, if you think about credit, good credit, as boiling hot water, it's hot. That's good credit. That's excellent credit. It's boiling hot water. If you think of okay credit as lukewarm water, just room temperature. And then you think of bad credit as ice. Okay. Now, God gave me this analogy years ago when I was in the car business, because it helped me to explain this to sometimes the people I had that come in. And unfortunately, a lot of times when I was dealing with us and we didn't have good credit or whatnot, they didn't want to hear me tell them, hey man, you could get this car right now, but you're going to pay double. You're going to pay double. You're going to pay double the same amount as this other person over here getting that exact same car. Why not fix a couple things and come back? But they don't want to hear that. They want it now. And unfortunately, someone like that, you can't do anything for them. Just sell them the car. Um, and so I did. I mean, they asked for it, and that's what they were wanting to do. And so sometimes, it didn't help you to give somebody information, because then it would act like you're trying to keep them from something. I mean, some of us are so immature in our thinking. I mean, it's crazy. But going back to um, the point that I was making, with the water. So what determines whether or not water is boiling hot or freezing cold? It's there's a source. There's a source of heat or cold. Okay. And so if the water is, let's say you've got, multiple lines of credit that are being paid every month. That's like fire. Okay. And so if you've got this water sitting on 10 different credit lines that are being paid every month, that water is going to boil because you're adding fire. Okay. A lot of times people don't have any trade accounts that are heating the water up. And a lot of people think that the way to build credit is just by getting stuff off of your credit bureau, getting the negative stuff off. The problem with getting the negative stuff off, let's say you take this pot, and for each negative thing you have, you got a pot full of water, but then for each negative thing you have, that's an ice cube that's in the water. Okay. And so by getting the negative stuff off, all you're doing is taking ice cubes out of the water. But if bad credit, just not bad credit, like let's say, a one credit score, I'm not one, but I'm saying like a 500, under 600 credit score, that's what you would consider that lukewarm water, or cold water, actually. Okay. But regardless, it's not good. But taking the ice out of that water, it may make the water a little less cold, but it's not going to heat it up. It's not going to start to climb to put you in position to get favorable terms on loans and stuff like that. Okay. So all taking the ice out does is just keep you at a low level, but it doesn't really help. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So getting bad things off of your credit is good, but that still isn't what builds credit. What builds credit is loans. The only thing that builds credit is loans. You can pay your house payment. You can pay your rent on time. You can pay your water bill, your electric bill. You can pay your phone bill. You can pay all these things on time, and they don't build credit because they're not loans. Credit is based off of you having a loan. Okay, that's what credit is built off of. And so you have a lot of people who don't understand. They can't figure out why they're not building credit when they pay all their bills on time, but they don't borrow anything. The system that is designed here for you to have credit is based on you borrowing. But how can you borrow and get approved to borrow if you've never borrowed before, or you've got a bad history of borrowing and things like that? Well, here's something that you have to understand about the credit bureaus and the banks. They actually work together. The banks and the credit bureaus work together. Put it this way. If everybody had an 800 credit score, the banks would tell the credit bureaus, we don't need you. And so to ensure that the credit bureaus can have a position and get paid, they have to be able to tell the banks, you can charge this person more. That's what they do. They give the banks the ability to charge certain people more money. That's why they don't want to let you get things off of your credit that are inaccurate. They had to actually pass laws so the credit bureaus could would be held accountable to not overly oppress you with the banks. You see, and so it benefits the banks for the credit bureaus to keep stuff on your credit. It benefits the credit bureaus with the banks. They work together. Okay. And so that's how you have to, there's a whole fight to get your credit cleared. Okay. And so the point is that unless you have loans, types of loans, you can't build credit. But the good thing is a credit card counts as credit, as a loan. You can have 3-4 credit cards. That's 3-4 lines of credit, all giving you heat to heat the water up. I've got clients who bought cars with a 700 beacon and all they had was credit cards. Okay. A signature loan is a line of credit. Secured loan, line of credit. Okay. And so you can have, imagine, okay, so let me say it a different way. Imagine you had a pot of boiling hot water. You had all these different lines of credit going and they're being paid on time. They're boiling the water. And then you have a negative, something go to collection and it drops a cube of ice in that water. Excuse me. Depending on how much water you got going and how much fire you got, that ice cube ain't going, it's not going to stop the water from boiling. You see the point? You know, the more heat you got, the more that water is going to boil. If we think of it as a different analogy, let's just say you have a big truck. Okay, you got a big truck, and let's say each like a dump truck, and let's say a negative piece of credit is like a boulder, you know, like a 500-pound boulder. A 500-pound boulder isn't going to stop a dump truck. That dump truck's going to keep on chugging. The more that you got working for you, the more lines of credit and things you have working for you, you can move that negative credit score into a positive situation just by increasing the amount of money that you make and your trade lines. You can completely avoid bankruptcy. And if you got enough, and if you've taken care of that money that you make and the trade lines, if you do that first, then you can start to remove those negative things second or third, I would say. Take care of the money first, get some trade lines going, and then worry about getting the negative stuff off your credit. Okay, so this is Apostle Dwayne, and thanks for joining me today for Your Money with Apostle Dwayne and why Black Americans should not file bankruptcy. Right now, I'm getting ready to finish up this episode, and I just want to let you know I've got this book coming out. God wants you in business for the kingdom. It's about taking you from the tail to the head. You can't be the head without being the owner of the business. Okay, and so that's going to be coming out. Hopefully, it'll be ready tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out here and going to the next broadcast of Success with Apostle Dwayne. I was supposed to do that yesterday, but I was having technical issues, so I'm going to do it now. All right. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.